Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and tonight we're in Manchester and I'm in the wonderful company of Sarah. Hi Sarah, how are you going?
I'm really well, Miles. Welcome to Manchester.
Great. And you've heard about my channel, Diaries of a Retiree.
I have indeed, and I think the tables need to be turned a little, and I think we need to interview you now.
Right, so this session you're going to be interviewing me.
I am, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Are you blast away,
I've
Sarah? Blast away.
Known you for a few years, Miles, but what I don't know is your early years and how you got into the industry that you did.
Yeah.
So, how did that happen?
So when we were about 10 years old, we moved to a village and we lived next to a dairy farm. And also my grandparents were very much into gardening. And I looked at the dairy farm, didn't want to get into agriculture, but I did want to get into horticulture. So I went off and studied a degree in horticulture at London University in Kent, and then started a career in horticulture and started off with a government horticulture research centre. I was there, say, 7.5 years. And then I got a job in a global fertiliser company.
Wow.
And that was really start of a massive journey around the world, in fact.
Well, that's how we met.
Like you say, we met in Oslo, Norway, and that was the first time. And I actually ended my overseas travels in Oslo, Norway, some 15 years later. So we spent time in Norway, then we moved to Asia.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate. We lived in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Bangkok.
Amazing.
And that was really amazing time working with farmers around the world. Gosh. And then I moved back to Norway and had a global role. And that literally took me to all continents of the world.
Gosh.
And that was a really amazing experience to see how people farmed in every country. We had offices in 60 countries.
Wow.
And we worked in 120 countries. So it was a lot of traveling and a hell of a experience.
Yeah. And I always got the impression that, your career was really important to you, that you thrived in it, that you enjoyed it, you loved it. And then there was a sudden you were going to retire, and it was quite a shock. What brought you to that decision?
Yeah, I did love my job. And I was all in. Work was what I had to do, and but I felt, after doing all that travelling, you're sat at the airport on a Friday evening after working, and you're still in Latin America, and it takes you 30 hours to fly home.
Yes.
And you're getting home Sunday morning, and then you're back in the office again on Monday.
Yeah.
I felt that, I was in my mid-50s, and I went, 30 hours just to get home? Time's ticking away, life's ticking away. And I felt that I was in a situation, I was very fortunate living overseas for many years. I was in a situation where financially I could retire.
Yes.
I made some wise investments, and we didn't live a very extravagant lifestyle.
No, very true.
So we could save up, and I think that's always the balance. If people have a high salary, do they get the fancy car, all the fancy, get the holiday cottage and everything? And then they have to work till they're 65, 70 because they haven't saved anything. So I sort of took the alternative that we were living in some fantastic places in the world, like Asia for 11 years. Every day was life on a holiday. We lived 5 years in Thailand. People would kill to go and travel to Thailand, and that's where we were. Yeah. So, our holidays were local holidays. But, all those long travels, I then suddenly I was sat at the airport, 30 hours to get home, and I went, not that young anymore. I'm sure there's other things to do than, working for the company. And I'd worked for the company nearly 30 years.
Yes.
Right? Every 3 years I had a new job in the company. I started in a new country. But, it was a great job, lots of fun. But there's other things to do as well.
So you came to a decision that you were going to retire.
Yeah.
And was there a sort of a period of time where you'd made the decision, you were waiting to retire?
Well, I think I'd probably made the decision 12 months before I retired.
Right.
But I moved to a different part of the business in my last 2 years. And this was working in digital farming. And it was learning totally new things.
Wow.
It was really interesting job. I loved every minute of it.
Fantastic.
And in a way, I could have said, yeah, okay, I'll stay longer because it's interesting and I'm loving it. I was really enjoying it, right? But on the other hand, you know, it would always be like that. You move to the next role. I've always loved my job in the company for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a day I went, oh, God, this job sucks. I don't want to go to the office. I loved every day. So if I allowed myself to say, well, I'm loving this so much, stay longer, I'd already decided I wanted to try something else.
And it could have gone on and on.
It could have gone on and on. Absolutely. So, I retired because I wanted to try something else. And since retiring, it's not it's not stopped work. I've not stopped working.
No.
But I have retired.
And that's where I find it quite interesting. What happened?
Yeah.
Were you in a position when you retired, when you thought, right, this is what I'm going to do? How did it all happen? I mean, we'll get to what you do now.
Yeah,
but
how
did that happen?
I think before I retired, we'd moved back to the UK, I think 4 years before. So we started building a network. We had the allotment. We were doing a thing called crop drop, where we take the excess produce from the allotment to a food club. It's like a food bank.
Yeah.
And through that, I got to know people in the local Newcombe Sherwood District Council. So I built up contacts there. But I also saw people at the food club and realised, you know, I'd been living this corporate lifestyle and the people I was working with and associating with weren't looking, oh, how am I going to pay the gas bill? How am I going to, you know, they were probably opposite end of the spectrum. And then I suddenly saw people that, you know, were struggling. And I went, right, well, there's my job. That's my new job.
You know, my father retired probably at the same time as you. And it was kind of voluntary, but not. You know, he had a long career in the chemicals industry. And, you know, he lived a very sedentary life. And I think it affected him mentally and physically. As you know, he's got dementia now, but he didn't really put all his career and his mind to use. And what you've just mentioned about, you know, your charity work, they say that's really important for mental health.
Yes.
Isn't it? So, you know, are you using that as some sort of like a platform to help other people?
Absolutely. Like the things I've done in retirement is very much an extension of what my career's been. And that is growing, you know, being a horticulturalist, being an agronomist. So I've set up community gardens, we've set up community herb beds, like the national organisation Men in Sheds, our local men's sheds.
I love the Men in Sheds.
And in ours, it's men and women, and I'm now the chair of that shed.
I mean, can I just ask you, Miles, how long is it now since you've been retired? How many years?
I've been retired 2 years.
Oh.
And I think, you know, I'm as busy as now than I was at work. Probably shorter days. You know, I could work easily a 10-hour day when I was at work. So now it's sort of 8 hours, but things are on the weekend as well. But I think a real secret to my retirement, I put it down to 3 things, A, B and C.
Go on.
And it's A, be active.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to go out every day. You've got to be active, whether it's walking, cycling. You've got to be outside, moving around, meeting people. On average, probably during the year, I would average about 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day. I think that's really important. The other one is belong. I think you have to belong to something, belong to an organisation, belong to a community garden, a men's shed, it could be anything. You know, like people go to the Women's Institute. You've got to belong to some sort of group because you've spent 30 years with work colleagues.
Yes.
So who are your new colleagues in retirement? So you have to belong to something. And then the third one is commit. It's very easy to say, I've retired. Before, when I was working, I was up at 6:30. My first phone call was 7:30. My last one was 6 p.m. Right? So now, you know, what time should I get up? 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock because I'm retired? No. I still get up early and I commit to things. So 3 days a week, I open up the men's shed. That's my accountability. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm committed to do that. I'm committed to take things to the food bank, to the food club. For me, anti-aging formula, my secret to anti-aging is A, B and C. Be active, belong and commit.
Yeah. Sometimes men find it quite difficult to retire because they feel like they've lost their purpose. And so what you're advocating is really amazing for sort of like mental health for men as well.
Yeah.
Obviously women may struggle as well, but men particularly find it difficult.
Yeah.
So I think even though you've only been retired 2 years, Miles, Little Bird tell me that you've had some sort of accolades.
Last year I was nominated for a local award. There's a community and sports award run by the Newcombe Sherwood District Council where there's 125,000 people in the area, and I got nominated and awarded Citizen of the Year, which was a lot of fun.
Only you, Miles. Only you. No, that's
and it was
amazing.
sort of in recognition for, you know, the efforts I put, because I volunteer. It's not paid, but I do it full time like a job. And like I say, it's about commitment. You know, if I said, right, we needed a website, I built a website. We wanted something for community herbs. So we built planters, we set up community herbs, we put a QR code. There's a website, you can see what to do with our community herbs.
Yeah.
But, you know, I promise the people I work with, in 2 days' time, I'll have your webpage. You know, and you set up at night, like you would when you were working, and you get that webpage done. But I'd never built a website before.
Wow.
And, you know, we've all got Google these days, and just looked it up. And, you know, I had a very technical job in my career. So, you know, why can't I build a website? But I think the key is it's easy to say, oh, I'm too old to learn. So it's about never be too old to learn. Everybody can learn.
Yes.
When you're 90, you can still learn.
Yes.
It's all about attitude. Have you got the right attitude to dare to learn, dare to fail, try?
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Well done on your achievement.
Thank you.
So as well as doing everything that you do, you're also helping your friends and your family.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say thank you. I'm glad
Thanks,
you're
Sarah.
retired.
and thanks for this interview, Sarah. And
it's a pleasure.
Here's cheers, and I wish that you can retire soon as well.
It'll be another 10 years. Anyway, thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thanks for coming.
And thanks, guys, for tuning in. This was Diaries of a Retiree. Please subscribe. It's really important you subscribe to follow this channel. Thanks. Bye.